So yeah, okay. I am here representing URAD, the Undergraduate Research Arts and Design Network at UNM, and we are a pretty new department, but we're really excited because we are here to support undergraduates who are interested in research. So as I understand it, you are all interested in future health professions, careers, and certainly research experience as an undergrad is going to be a great thing to sort of set you apart from other applicants. So let's get started, and feel free to put stuff in the chat, and maybe Andrea, will you help me if there are questions and stuff? Okay, great.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so just a little bit about me and my background. I was an undergrad long ago in psychology, and I didn't know what research was when I started college. I just wasn't exposed to it at all, but once I got into my coursework, and especially kind of the upper division coursework when I took statistics and research methods, I was like, this is so cool. I love asking questions. I love finding ways to find the answers. And so I found my way to a research experience. I went to school at a really small liberal arts college in New Jersey. But I helped a neuropsychologist at a local hospital look at CAT scans of stroke victims with the question of looking at lesion size and correlating that with the level of difficulties and problems that they had after the stroke. And so at the time, I didn't really realize kind of the longstanding benefits that undergraduate research would get me, but now I do, and I'm really happy to be a part of URAD and help you reap these benefits too, that will really kind of last for years on end after you finish your undergrad. So some reasons to think about why you would want to do research as an undergrad. First of all, it's a really great way to take ownership of your education. It can often feel like there's many classes you have to take that maybe aren't your heart's desire. And so this is a way for you to find an interest and dive into it. Secondly, it's a way to have experiences that your coursework just may not offer. There are some classes that offer research experiences kind of embedded in them, but many classes do not. So this is a way to really kind of broaden your education and get more out of your major. When I ask undergrads why they do research and what they get out of it most, this is sort of the #1 reason. They love taking what they learn in their courses that feels at the time very abstract and very theoretical and putting it to use in a real life situation. They often will say, I never really understood that concept until I started to do research. You get your hands dirty and you really can understand how things work. On a very practical level, if you end up on the job market after undergrad, it's going to make you a more appealing candidate. And then certainly for your goals being grad school, professional school, it's really beneficial to have this kind of experience to set yourselves apart from other applicants. So just briefly, UNM is considered an R1 institution, and you might be seeing a lot of that around campus. UNM is doing a lot of promoting of the fact that it's an R1, and all that means is it's a specific classification that identifies us as a very high research activity university. It's the highest research activity label that a university can get. What that means is that we spend at least $5 million on research annually, and we award at least 20 doctoral degrees. We are way above that. We are a very large institution, and we are in the hundreds of millions in terms of research money that's coming in and out of UNM. So why is this important for you as undergrads that you're at an R1 institution? Many of you might not have had any idea when you were applying to UNM that it was a big deal when it comes to research. Well, it's important because there's a ton of research happening here for you. There's so many opportunities here that you wouldn't necessarily find at smaller schools. All of our tenured and tenure track faculty at any R1, but including UNM, are going to be very active in research. So that's your assistant professors, associate professors, and full professors. And fun fact, UNM is the only R1 in the state of New Mexico. So it really does set us apart from the other colleges and the experiences that you could have had if you went to NMSU or Eastern or somewhere else in the state. And last fun fact, that as of 2021, there's only 146 R1s throughout the US. So in terms of research experiences, UNM is a pretty special place to be. So I'm here and URAD is here to help you all take advantage of this. So what does research look like for undergrads? Just to kind of set some expectations clear, it is not doing grunt work, right? Just doing the things that nobody else wants to do. Certainly that can be part of your experience. It's kind of part of any job. It's hard to get away from some grunt work, but it's not the primary purpose of why you're there. It's not just checking off a box to get it done. So in terms of your motivation and your intention in pursuing research, you want to do it because you really want to do it, you know, and certainly, like I said, there's very practical benefits of it's going to look really good on your applications, you know, whether you want to go to med school or PT or MPH or whatever your goal is. But you want to do it because you're genuinely curious about a particular subject and want to delve into it deeper, not just going through the motions. And it's not just a low effort, low priority commitment for you. And so I do these workshops across campus, you know, for all kinds of students. And I'm happy to meet up with any of you one-on-one to follow up and talk about this, because you do want to give it some thought of how much time and energy do I have, you know, that can I commit to a research project? And it could be as low as 5 hours a week, and that's okay. It could be as much as 15 hours a week, but you want to be realistic so that when you are engaged in the project, you're truly engaged. You're not just doing it when you have time once a month. And now talk about what it is. It is an opportunity for you to build your skills and really delve into a topic that you're interested in. And we'll talk more about this. Sometimes when looking for a research opportunity, you won't find an exact match. Some of you might have very specific ideas in mind of what you would love to learn more about, but maybe there's no one at UNM doing that. That is okay, right? You want to build research skills really in any area that is aligned with your interests. It doesn't have to be an exact match for it to be worth your time. It's a great way to build your academic network. Now, all of you being part of this program that you're in is a fantastic way to build your academic network. Getting involved in research is another way that you meet faculty. You might meet graduate students, other undergrads who are all interested in doing what you want to do as well. So having that network of people to rely on, you never know when it comes time for letters of recommendation or job applications or whatever it might be. The wider your academic network is as an undergrad, the more successful you are likely to be. And that is something I wish I realized when I was in your shoes. And lastly, it's something that you do because you want to do it, like I was saying before. No one is forcing you to do research at UNM. Some universities across the country have a requirement for their undergrads to do some kind of research component. UNM does not. So this is completely optional and completely up to you. I'll just briefly go through this section since I assume most of you are STEM, but maybe there's some social sciences in there. But basically, part of what URAD is trying to do as well is to combat the myth that research only happens in STEM fields. It's not true. It happens in the humanities, it happens in social sciences, it happens in art and design. Those were just the fields I listed, but it happens in business and education and you name it, it's across campus. And basically the definition that we use of research is you're asking a question that no one knows the answer to. And if you think about it in those terms, that could apply to any discipline or any major that's out there. So now I'm going to kind of walk you through these steps of if you're interested in securing a research position, here's what you would do. First, you want to think about, give some time and energy towards thinking about where your interests lie. And so I recommend the very first place to start thinking about are classes that you've taken. Is there some topic, some theme that you keep thinking about? And you could have been exposed to this in some core class your first year, something that maybe isn't in your major, but something you're really kind of excited about. That's worth pursuing and thinking about. Maybe there's something, that you have a strong personal motivation to study, and that's okay. A lot of students feel like they have to separate, this is my academic interest, this is my personal interest, but that's not true, right? Many, many researchers are motivated by their personal background and experiences. And so the example I give, prior to working with URAD, I worked for the McNair Scholars Program. And I'm happy to talk with anyone more about that, but that's a research-based program that helps students get into graduate school. And in fact, we had a student from this program. Her name is Thea Benali, and she's now in PT, physical therapy program at University of Washington, which is super awesome. She did great. She did a great job on her research and really threw herself into it. But anyway, so an example from my time with the McNair Scholars was a student who chose to study language brokering, which I didn't know what that was, but I learned that a language broker is a child in a family who's responsible for translating for the family. And that was her role as the oldest daughter of a single mom who emigrated here from Mexico. And so she took her experience and what that was like and asked a research question about what are the impacts on students' academics who have this additional responsibility, and created a great research project on that. And she's at University of Texas at Austin now doing a PhD. Maybe there's some big, broad social or societal issue that you want to help contribute to. So another example is a student who was a political science major who came to me in McNair, interested in somehow working on climate change. She met with a bunch of professors, all different departments, and she ended up working with a planning professor on transportation plans. If you would have asked her at the very beginning, do you want to study transportation plans? And she would probably have said, no, I don't know. I don't think so. But in talking with different people and realizing the support she could get from faculty, this was the best kind of case scenario. And she's also at University of Washington in a master's of urban planning program, fully funded. So you never know where these things might take you. She really changed her trajectory after her research project. So this first step of selecting a topic, I would like to just plant the seed that as undergrads, this is your time to experiment. You're not married to anything. This is not like, oh, the end all be all. If I pick this, I have to stick with it forever. No, you might even get to try out a couple different experiences while you're at UNM and see what is most appealing to you, or learn what you don't like. It's all useful information. But the bottom line is, when you don't have any research experience at all, getting some in any subject is going to be beneficial to you for your future. So I want to just pause here real quick for 2 minutes and just jot down an idea or two, or however many you have, of what you think you might want to pursue in terms of a research project. And if any brave souls want to share that in the chat when they have that, that would be awesome. Okay, my timer went off for about 2 minutes. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing. That's a really hot topic, impact of COVID on students' mental health. Yeah, anyone else have any thoughts they want to share? Because sometimes it's interesting just to hear what other people are thinking about and can kind of open your eyes to a new topic that maybe you hadn't thought about. And there's no wrong answers here. It's really just where your curiosities lie in terms of academics. Oh, Destiny says that was one of hers too. Yeah.
I wanted to say that my idea was like how COVID affected lab people, like the people who work in lab. Because I work in lab, I'm doing my clinicals, and I've seen people tell me their stories of the time when COVID came, and it was really hectic. And like, I was just thinking maybe like how much did COVID affect those people, because they were like doing COVID testing from what is it, grave shifts to day shifts. So I was just like thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, COVID is a really rich topic, right? That could be explored, researched from so many different angles. There were so many published studies coming out during COVID so rapidly about COVID. Somebody, I can't remember if it was a faculty, but somebody was curious, like how many of those were actually solid research or were just getting kind of pushed through because we were in such a fury over COVID. So there's just so many implications from such a life-changing event like COVID. Yeah. And Liliana says, how can a professor's language barrier affect their students' education? Yeah, great. Yeah, really, any question really that has not been answered before can be formatted into a research interest. So thank you for sharing those who did. And what we're going to do next is talk about identifying faculty, your second step after identifying an area of interest. And there's a number of reasons why you want to have a faculty mentor while doing undergraduate research. One, plain and simple, they have the expertise and they're going to help you work more efficiently. They've been doing this for a long time, where you're going to be, new to this world. Excuse me, they're going to have the resources. So one of the first steps in research generally is to do a literature review, is to read about the studies and the work that has come before, so you can be assured you actually are asking a question that has not been answered before, because maybe someone else has answered this question at some other university, right? But so they can clue you into the readings and the hot topics and the things that really are going to be foundational and kind of shape your research question. They can help you set your boundaries and realistic expectations. So a lot of us, not just students, think we can do much more than we actually can, in a semester or summer or whatever your timeline might be. So relying on them and their guidance for what's a realistic accomplishment for me to have this coming summer or by next fall or whatever your timeline is. And then again, back to that academic network, they can and will connect you to others. There's all kinds of scholars working at a university, other faculty and postdoctoral scholars and grad students and all these people who really can help you expand your academic network. So many reasons that you want to have a faculty behind you. And then logistically, what this looks like in working with a faculty on a research project. One, there's the potential that you earn course credit. And so you can sign up. Every department has a course. It's an independent study, so it's completely up to you and your mentor to determine meeting times and requirements and all of that. So it's not like a regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday class meeting. But anyway, every discipline has a course that you can sign up for and register for anywhere from 1 to 3 credit hours. So you could earn credits for your work on research. It's possible to earn money as a research assistant if the faculty member has funding or there's some other scholarship or program. And I'm going to walk you through our website so you're familiar with these things to get paid, which is awesome. And then it's possible that you would volunteer. There might not be money, there might not be that financial support, but if you're able to swing it, it's still really valuable experience for you, and good for your applications and your resume. And lastly, you might conduct research as part of a structured program at UNM, like McNair Scholars, like Thea did, and there's several others. And again, I'm going to save some time to show you those on our website. Okay, so walking you through this next step of identifying faculty, you all have come up with some idea. Your next step is to find the people who are maybe working on something like that. So this may or may not be in your major. You might need to think outside the box. I'm happy to help you brainstorm if you need some ideas. Here I'm showing you an example from the Department of Psychology, but basically you go to the website, you look, they'll have some tab like people, and you want to look at faculty, and you want to look at their general topics of interest. What are they doing? For right now, and we're going to abbreviate this, we're just going to do a little 3-minute baby search of getting you comfortable and familiar with just like, what are the faculty doing at UNM? So pick a department and start exploring. And go ahead and let me know if you have any questions or hit any obstacles. Okay, so that was really quick, just a little 3-minute taste of looking at faculty. But hopefully it gave you some sense of the breadth of work that's happening. And also just to plant the seed that you might find some really interesting stuff outside of your major. You might be a biology major, for instance, but you look at the School of Medicine, what's happening in neurology research on North Campus or whatever, is as an example. And so remember, any of these steps that you feel like you need more help with or want to talk more about, just reach out and we can do a one-on-one to follow up. Okay, so your next step, and we're not going to take the time to actually do any of this right now, but I do want this on your radar, is that you're going to look at the publications that they have. What kind of research are the faculty that you're interested in working on and publishing? So you can get a sense of, is this something that maybe I want to be involved in, right? And so here's just the basic steps of using your library resources, going to the library homepage, select articles only, select author, copy and paste one of the faculty that you just looked up, perhaps. And here's just an example of a, peer-reviewed periodical with some UNM faculty on it. And this is going to be really challenging reading. If you haven't attempted to read peer review articles before, it's hard, and you don't need to understand every bit of it by any means, but rather you do want to understand the title and you want to read the abstract carefully. And the abstract is that beginning summary about a paragraph of what did they do, why did they do it, what were the major findings. And then you skim the majority of the article and come to the end of the article and look at the final conclusions, discussions, and make your notes about the key ideas and key points that came out of this. And again, you're trying to put yourselves in this world, right? This academic world of the work that's happening, and can I see myself doing this kind of thing? And the reason that I want you to take that step 3 is because you want to have a little more knowledge and insight into the work that faculty are doing before you reach out to them to inquire about research opportunities. So this is your final step. You're contacting faculty. Basically, it's okay. You might come up with 3 faculty that you realize you're really interested in, and it's okay to email them all next Monday or whatever, but there's no mass emails. Everybody gets a unique email to them. And your goal in reaching out to them is to learn as much as you can about what they do. This again is really good networking skills and practicing building that academic network, because a lot of students are too intimidated, too overwhelmed. They won't do this step. But by doing this, you're kind of pushing yourself past those fears, to make the most out of your education. Basically, faculty are here to teach and do research, and you want to make the most of their time here. And so to do this, you'll compose a professional email. We're going to do this together. So I say, open up your drafts and let's do this, but no one's sending anything out until you got familiar with the work that the faculty are doing. You're not going to be an expert, but you are going to have some pieces of information to reference, and you'll see what I mean in the email. So writing emails to faculty, you really want to be concise. They're very busy, and if they see this big long message, it's easy for them to think, oh, I'll get to it later, and then it goes away. So we're gonna be brief, and we're gonna show how you're interested, show that you're enthusiastic about their work, and that you've done your homework on them. So always err on the side of being overly formal. So dear Dr. or Professor so-and-so. Very brief sentence introducing yourself. I'm a first-year student studying biology. I'm very interested in the work you have done on ecosystems in the Rio Grande, especially the research you conducted on the silvery minnow. I'm making this all up, right? But as you read through an article, you'll realize like, oh, this is the kind of hot topic of interest. Oh, and specifically, they were looking at this. You want to drop those little tidbits in that very first sentence, so they know right off the bat, you are not the average student, right? You have gone above and beyond before contacting them. Next sentence, show your interest. I would like to talk more with you about your research and learn about any research opportunities I might get involved with as an undergraduate. And I like for you all to mention 2 times that you're an undergraduate. They're used to getting graduate students reaching out to them about research opportunities. And so you just want to be clear who you are and where you are in your education. Next is an availability sentence. This is really important. Sometimes students feel like this is inappropriate or, feel like, well, I shouldn't tell them when I'm available. They should tell me when they're available. No, you want to make it easy for them to say yes to you. So when you lay out, if you just say like, oh, I can meet whenever, then they're like, oh, I don't know when, but you're like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this chunk of time, Tuesday, Thursday, this chunk of time. It's easy for them to look at that and look at their schedule and be like, oh yeah, I can do Wednesday at noon. Ideally, you're offering big chunks of time. You're not offering 8 to 8:30 a.m. or things like that, right? If you really can only offer meeting times that are little half-hour slivers, that might be an indicator that you're too busy to do research. You want to be able to have some chunks of time for these kinds of things. And then if you are really flexible, you can say, okay, if this doesn't work, you tell me, I'll make arrangements to accommodate. If you can't do that, don't offer it, just offer your availability. Thank them for their time and for reading it, and you look forward to hearing from them, and a formal kind of sign off, sincerely, your name. And then if you don't have a signature yet in Outlook, you might consider making one. It's just kind of a nice professional thing to have with your name, your major, anticipated grad date, your involvement in this program, any other honors associations or programs, that kind of thing. So short and sweet and to the point, kind of showing them that you're serious, you mean business. Let's talk. Okay, so you send emails, and these are the most common questions that I get, like, what if they don't write back? And then what do I do? And how long do I wait? And all of these kinds of things. And maybe I should just give up and not do this. No. Generally, the rule of thumb is to give them 1 week. I also anecdotally have learned that emailing on a Friday is not a great idea. Those can get lost more easily over the weekend. So let's say you email on a Tuesday, you give them that full week until the next Tuesday. You don't hear from them by Wednesday morning. You reach out politely and you say, I emailed you last week. I know you're very busy. I appreciate your time, but I am really interested in the work that you're doing. I hope we have a chance to connect. Please see my email below. So polite, and oftentimes faculty will say, thank you for reminding me, it slipped through the cracks, because they do have a lot of stuff on their plate. And sometimes, you might have a list of 4 faculty and only 1 responds. Okay, you start with that. But you don't give up. You kind of stay persistent. You reach out to me, reach out to URAD if you need help, if you hit obstacles, because there will be someone out there for you to match with. So the next piece of this is, you're scheduling a meeting with them, and these are just some tips for you to consider with any professional meeting. You'll bring your notes and you'll bring questions maybe that you wrote from your readings. You're going to be on time. You'll have something to write with. You will listen. And you're not asking for a job or asking for them to be your mentor right away at this first meeting. You are just having a conversation about the work that they do and thinking about, is this a good fit for me? When I worked with the McNair Scholars Program, we had students who would meet with anywhere from 2 to 8 faculty. It was up to them how many they wanted to meet with, but at least 2 they had to. And they would get a sense of like, oh, actually, this first person I met with, I thought they were good, but then I met with somebody else next week, and I felt so much more comfortable. I felt like I could ask questions. That first person, actually, I didn't feel like I clicked with. Okay, if you had only met that 1 person, you wouldn't have that perspective, right? So this is very much like just learning about what's out there. What resources do I have at my university? And after the meeting, it's always a good idea to send a very brief thank you email, just thanking them for their time. Quite often they will give you things to read. They will give you, or they'll say, oh, you know what? After talking with you, who you should meet is Dr. So-and-so. And thank them for these references and the resources that they gave you. And being patient and persistent is the name of the game here. This is very likely you will hear no. excuse me, it's the rare student who on their first try of reaching out to someone, it clicks and it's great and it's a yes, right? But that's okay. You're going to keep trying, because hopefully I've laid out all the benefits that you're going to get from doing this exercise of reading articles and reaching out to faculty. These are all good skills that are going to help you no matter what your future is. And again, we're here to help with any of these steps. URAD@unm.edu is the best way to get in touch with me. Okay, so I wanted to show you on our website, we have a lot of different information. So we have a listing of all the research programs at UNM, current opportunities that I update a lot. You can request an advising session and see other work that undergrads have done. So I'm going to see if I can now switch what I share with you and hop on the website. Okay. So this is our homepage. It's just urad.unm.edu. Let me show you real quick. URAD Expo is our site where we highlight work that undergrads or recent graduates have done. So this is kind of cool. All kinds of work happening across the university. So if you might be like, I don't know what I might do, you might check out URAD Expo. These are some awesome students being featured here, as well as research programs. We also do features on those. So that's URAD Expo. Okay, but what I wanted to show you was the 4 students. First, let's look at the research programs that UNM has. So under student research resources, research programs, and here's a listing of all the structured programs. Like I said, I worked for McNair ROP. That's where I met Thea. There's others that are like specific to biomedical research, like URISE. AMP is for any underrepresented students in STEM. UPN is a summer only program about getting kind of hands-on experience in the biomedical field. El Puente accepts all majors. Anyway, this listing might be of interest to you. The vast majority of students at UNM do not use a research program. They do it on their own, but you should know that these are out there. They're a great source of support. Okay, and then if we go back to the homepage, the other thing I wanted to highlight for you is the current student opportunities. Right now, and so I update these pretty much practically every day. As I get new opportunities, I post them and take away the things that have expired. Right now, it's a lot of recruiting for summer research opportunities. And I don't know if that works with your schedule and what you have going on with your program, but this is the hot time. Most of these are due in January and February. The UPN that I just showed you, that's the undergraduate pipeline network that we have at UNM, is one of these, but they're nationwide, they're everywhere, and they're highly competitive, but you're all competitive students. So a lot of them are looking for students who don't have any research experience. So don't feel like, well, I haven't done anything yet. That's okay. So you might check those out. And then I just post all kinds of other things happening. When faculty reach out with an opportunity, this is like a cultural anthropology opportunity. I'll post that on there. External stuff from Sandia, more summer stuff, scholarships for related to research. But I want competitions. There's a library research award, but I wanted to highlight this symposium that we have coming up. This might be a really good place for those of you who are curious about research to come to. It's free, it's online. We're doing it in collaboration with University of Arizona, Florida International University, and have invited a bunch of students from Argentina. So it will be bilingual. We'll have sessions in Spanish and English, and all kinds of things related to research, from talking with faculty. I'm going to do a presentation on that, to writing a research story, presenting a poster at a conference, working on the imposter syndrome, all kinds of things. So you can access that here, the agenda, and register there. You all are welcome. And like I said, it is free to attend. Okay, I think that was what I wanted to highlight here. But yeah, mess around on our site. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, and we're constantly kind of building and adding to it. Okay, and oops. And here we are. So one of the last things I want to talk about is our Undergraduate Research Opportunity Conference, otherwise known as UROC. This is kind of the final step in research, is sharing your knowledge. What knowledge have you gained, and share it with the community. That being said, at UROC, you do not have to have a completely finished project with results and all of that. It could be a proposal. It could be in the middle of data collection. It could be at any phase of research. Students will present orally, which is generally a 10-minute PowerPoint presentation. They might do a poster. That's what you see an example of here, a printed out visual that they walk people through their research. Or we do a 180 competition, which is a 3-minute elevator pitch competition. So I'm going to put all the links to these things in the chat, but this code is if you want to receive information staying up to date on UROC, you put your name on there, and I'll keep you posted on deadlines and upcoming things happening. But it will be on April 21st, and it's a really fun event where undergrads are the star of the show. These are some drop-in sessions to just learn more about UROC and why maybe you should consider presenting. And just ask questions or, whatever, just some Zoom sessions to check out. And again, I'll put that in the chat. Okay, and then the last thing I like to do is set goals, right? So we've done all these things. I've walked you through all the steps. Now, what can you do with it, right? Hopefully you have a little boost of energy from thinking about this, and I want to help you keep the momentum going. So I want you to think about what's one thing that you'd like to accomplish, and what are the little steps that you can take to get you there. So for example, maybe you want to look into those research programs. Maybe that's really interesting to you, and find out, what am I eligible for? When are they recruiting? What's going on? So the step you would take is to go, you could start on that page where all the programs are, and then start clicking off those programs, right? And going to their websites, reaching out with questions that you might have, and set a timeline. Today's Wednesday, and maybe it's okay, over the weekend, I'm going to do this. And by next Friday, I'm going to have this done, right? So I just want to give you just 2 minutes to pause and think about, what would you like to do with this information that I just shared with you? And again, if anyone would like to share in the chat when you have that jotted down, I'd love to see it. Okay. Anyone, any thoughts, what you will use this information for? You can feel free to unmute yourself too, if you'd like.
I'll make a quick comment very quickly. I actually presented at URAC this past April, and that was like my first ever like research experience when I was an undergrad. And I think it was a great opportunity just to kind of like dip your toes in the water into research. And it's not as big as a commitment as you might all think it is right now. I think that taking these initiatives and these steps is a good way to seeing where you lie on the research end and like what your interests are. And even if it's like something that's not completely aligned with your specific field that you're aiming towards right now, it's a good way to experiment your interest or anything that might come to mind. It's really cool to make these networks and these connections with faculty to have on campus, whether that's you'll need like a letter of recommendation down the road or anything like that, and just like have these on your CV looks very good as well. So I definitely benefited a lot from it, and you gain like academic confidence when you present to a large audience as well. So definitely take advantage of these opportunities, because I definitely had so much fun, and it was a great experience as an undergrad. So yeah, thank you for
Cool.
presenting this information, Jennifer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that, Andrea. And that was the feedback that we got from the students of like, this was so awesome. I feel like I can do this now. I was so scared. And right now I feel better. I got really good feedback. I do in coordinating UROC, we recruit a bunch of faculty and graduate students to come talk to you and give you feedback on your work, which I know that might sound scary, but it's what you want. You want to know, oh, I could have done that. Oh, next time, right? And you build and you learn, and you're going to apply that to your next experience. So yeah, definitely. If you have any inkling about presenting at UROC, I strongly encourage you, come to a drop-in session, consider it, think about it. If you're like, no, this isn't the year, come visit, come check it out on April 21st. It's a really good, energizing kind of event and you'll just see like amazing work that all the undergrads are doing. It's so cool. So yeah, that could be your goal. Like, okay, I'm going to look into UROC this week, right? To something simple. Yeah, good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm happy to take any questions or comments or thoughts, anything people have. I will just put some things in the chat, just those links that are easy to follow. Sorry, let me just get those. Okay. There they are. So if you want to be kept up to date on UROC, that first one, if you know you want to come to a drop-in session, that second one. And then if you have any feedback on the workshop of like, oh, I wish you talked about this, or like, oh, this was really cool, I didn't know this before, I'd love to hear it. I'm always trying to kind of refine these workshops to make them more accessible and helpful to you. Yeah, Liliana, I see your hand is up. Do you want to just unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. So I had a question about URAD. Is there a similar program like URAD for like graduate students?
Not that I'm aware of. I think for graduate students, are you a graduate student?
Not yet, but I think like I need one more year because I'm still an undergraduate, but just
Okay.
asking.
Yeah, I think I mean, honestly, if a student reaches out with a question, I'm not going to be like, I can't help you. You're a grad, so, feel free like to have that. I mean, our primary mission is to support undergrads in finding research opportunities. But I think for graduate students, they're expected more to rely on their faculty advisor for questions and guidance about their particular research, where for undergrads, they don't have that, sort of road already built for them, where grad students, it is a little more established of like, you have this faculty that you're going to work generally, that you're going to work with. But that, like I said, if you have some general questions or having difficulties or whatever, feel free to reach out. There is the Graduate Resource Center, which is now part of the Center for Teaching and Learning. That's a big department now. It used to just be CAPS, but anyway, Center for Teaching and Learning has all these different pieces, and one of them is the Graduate Resource Center. So not that they do exactly, you know, kind of what URAD does, but they're the general support for graduate students. Good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then just to kind of bounce off what Jennifer was saying, Liliana, when it comes to that point, we can explore options. Just me and you, we can collaborate with Jennifer to see what options we can offer, like post-grad. Just so that's also an option. I'm sure there's like tons of options for that as well.
Good point. Yeah. The fact that you guys are in this program is a really great resource, that, you know, they reached out to me to, you know, help give you additional resources. So I'm another person on campus, right, that you can reach out to. But I found that with the McNair Scholars Program, it was so great to have invited speakers that then I could tell students like, hey, remember, they can help you, you know, so remember me, right? And I mean, Andrea will help you remember me. If conversations come up about research, you guys should definitely come my way. Any other questions or anything else people are wondering about? Primarily, we are remote, but my office is in Dane Smith Hall. So we do actually have a physical location. But yeah, but if anybody does want to meet, you would do that through the URAD website, and we would figure out a day and time to do that. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, something to think about. And consider. Research is awesome, and it's really fun, and students get into it and are like, oh my gosh, I love this. So that could be you. That could be your experience.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for your time, Jennifer. We appreciate you bringing this great resource and just these great opportunities in the research field that some of us may have no experience in. So I think it's a great tool for us to be aware of it. And I will go ahead and forward your contact information along to the students so that they're able to reach out to you with any questions, whether that's today or just further down the line. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for everyone else for being present and for participating. It's always appreciated. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next session, everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.